Hey, y'all, Shane Kerwin from Personal Survival Solutions. Picking up where we left off last week, where we talked about, hey, building an individual protective system and the components that we believe go in it. The first video past that we want to do is kind of twofold. Number one, some recommendations for things for everyday carry in that, but the other one, and more importantly, is how to get ready for a class. When you step down this path to become an armed citizen and you dedicate yourself to go take a class somewhere, some things that'll help set you up for success when you do that. And I want to go through some of those things. So if you come take a class with us or with somebody else, that you'll be set up and ready to go and get the most out of the learning environment that you'll be in. Okay, so one of the things that we do at Personal Survival Solutions is prior to the class, we send out a lot of associated reading materials. So if whoever's class you're taking, if they send something out, go ahead and read that prior to. I mean, it's not mandatory for us, but it will answer some questions that you might have, or when I ask questions during the class, you'll be able to have the answer there. So read that associated reading material. We want to have a way to take notes, notebook and a pen, or paper and pencil, something like that. Okay. And then as we start to get into equipment, look at the equipment list that's put out by whoever's putting the class on. We've got a pretty detailed description of what the class is going to be, what's going to be needed as equipment wise, round counts, etc. Going along with our everyday carry and or practice, and then coming out and doing training is, we want to have some sturdy clothes on. Every once in a while we can represent the same things that we wear on a day-to-day basis. But when we come out to take a class, let's wear something that's kind of rugged. Let's wear good footwear, boots or hiking shoes or something like that. Have some good rugged pants or shorts, weather dependent. If it's warm, especially here in Tennessee in the summers, shorts are completely acceptable. Okay, we need to have a good belt, okay, a good sturdy belt that has some rigidity to hold up all the things that we're putting on this Batman utility belt that we carry day to day, and then also when we're out in classes. So some of the belts that I like, Core makes belts which are fully adjustable and have rigidity to them. I really like those. This is a relatively local guy called Flagrant Beard. He makes a good leather belt that's meant for carrying a gun. Okay, so we want to have that. We want to have a good hat while we're out there, so we keep the sun out of our eyes and we can be protected from the elements. Good eyewear and ear protection. So when we're on the range, either clear or sunglasses that are ballistic rated while you're out there. Okay. Getting into whatever your carry gun is, and then holster. And I don't really care what you show up with. It's Covert Protective Pistol is the pistol series that we do. So that's kind of being an armed citizen and carrying it covertly. We've had people show up with a little bit of everything. If you want to show up in a battle belt, that's just fine, but we'd rather you whatever your everyday carry is. Whether that's inside the waistband appendix or strong side, outside the waistband strong side, or something like the Enigma holster, which we have some different things that are here. Okay, make sure that you get a good holster though. Some of the ones that I recommend and like for inside the waistband appendix are the Tier 1 concealed. Tenacor makes some good ones. We know Filster Enigma, especially if you don't want to wear a belt. And I know some of the ladies that are out there, even some guys, depending on what they're wearing for their job, may or may not have a belt on that'll facilitate carrying a gun. There's a variety of different holster makers out there. Just make sure you buy yourself a good quality holster. To go along with that, spare magazine carrier. Now, when I'm taking a class or when I'm teaching a class, I really try to replicate how I am in my everyday carry, everyday day-to-day, what I have on me. So I normally only carry one spare magazine carrier on my belt. You can put magazines in your pocket if you're with us. You might want something that has more magazine carriers, so this one will carry 2. It doesn't really matter to me. Now, I'm not going to get down the rabbit hole of should we carry a spare magazine out in the world or not. That's for another video. But while you're in class, I highly encourage you to carry an extra magazine carrier or a magazine in a carrier so you can get the most out of your training while we're together. Okay. The next thing is have a bunch of different extra magazines for your gun. Okay, these are going to be your training magazines. We want to differentiate between our everyday carry magazines and our training magazines, because the training magazines are going to get beat up, dropped on concrete or gravel, or just dirty in the mud and water and that. So we don't want those to be the ones that we bet our life on. We do need to make sure that we test our everyday carry magazines, that they're reliable, that they function correctly, and then I have them marked separately so I know what goes into my carry gun when I'm in my everyday carry mode and what are training magazines. Highly encourage you to mark your magazines with whatever your distinctive little logo or numbers or your initials or whatever that is, just so you know if we're in the mix and we have people that have similar guns and similar magazines, you can find out which ones are yours and get them back at the end of the day or at the end of the drill. With that, one of the things I highly encourage you to do is prior to coming to the class, when we're reading the materials, getting ourselves mentally prepared to take the class, is prep all our equipment. You know, make sure that we check our gun. If it needs to be cleaned, clean it, make sure that it's lubricated. As far as pistol goes, what we see a lot of times is people over lubricate their pistols and under lubricate their rifles, and it should be inverse. It should be the opposite, but make sure you have good lubricant on your gun. Preload your magazines. Okay, if you have several additional magazines for training, maybe keep one that's empty if you're going to do emergency reloads or the instructor calls for a drill that you have to put inert rounds or something in. But otherwise, preload your magazines. It's not a big deal, but it delays the class when you show up and you don't have any magazines loaded and the instructor wants to get the safety brief and the medical brief going. And yeah, you can be loading magazines then, but we're ready to get on the line and you're still stuffing magazines. So, you know, take a little bit of time prior to and load up your magazines. Make sure you have the appropriate amount of ammo for whatever's called in the description of the class that you have. Normally with our class descriptions and our ammo counts, there's a little bit more there. So you probably won't shoot all of it, but it's kind of a safety factor there to make sure if we do get a really good day of training in or people that are really picking up the information and we pick up the pace a little bit, you have those extra rounds there so you'll be able to continue to participate. Okay. Some comfort items that you should have with you. Now we always have these things out on the range. We have water, oral rehydration salts with Drip Drop, Gatorade, medical stuff for, you know, just boo-boos and things like that. But some things that you can have in your bag that'll make life easy for you is, you know, maybe have some Band-Aids, have a pain reliever, you know, Tylenol, Motrin, something like that. I like athletic tape. We do get a request for athletic tape on occasion when we're at the range. So it's something cheap that you can get at Walmart or Walgreens or CVS or whatever you have, and just keep it in your bag. Some sunscreen, especially in the summers here in Tennessee, when the sun is pretty oppressive. You know, we want to take care of our skin. So sunscreen, I like to spray on. Make sure you bring water and things to stay hydrated. And also with that, pre-hydrate before you come to class. You know, make sure you're drinking plenty of water before you get there, because even though a lot of the classes aren't extremely physically demanding, if the weather is hot and that, we want to be taking in constant water, and we want to preload that prior to us getting there. Okay. So these are just some of the things that I wanted to bring up to get you ready for taking a class. Come taking a class with us or somebody else, and also some things and equipment to think about for your everyday carry, because like I said, I like to replicate my everyday carry in my training scenarios and or practice, so I have familiarity with them, and it's just to a level of automaticity. I don't have to think about it if I ever need it. Okay. We're going to do another video here coming up that'll be out probably next week, and it'll be the same type of video, but it'll be concerning our rifle classes, our carbine classes, and some of the equipment and things that you can do to prep for a rifle class or to practice. Okay, but until then, always vigilant, always prepared.